Hi everyone, welcome to Living La Vita Local podcast, a retro gaming podcast for some of your retro gaming needs. My name is Faz.
And I've got some crisp in my teeth still.
No, sorry, I just started pressing record.
That's all right, we're here now. I'm Rich.
Has anyone out there ever had tackies? They're like a thing. I called them a meme thing before. What do you like? A fad. It would be the way you would say it in the 80s. Yeah, probably. Yeah, yeah. I think they're like a thing. Like they are really good though, deservedly so. But there are blue ones. I think there's like blue heat ones and stuff. I've just got the intense nacho. A lot of the time when we have snacks on podcast, I will say, I'm going to leave these for you. Are you and Fiona to eat? I'm not going to leave these for you. I'm going to eat these. These are nice.
No, that is completely understandable.
I probably shouldn't have started like the podcast recording where we were just already munching. Anyway, hi everyone. You'll be happy to know we're well fed. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not here fucking starving away for your enjoyment.
No airs and graces.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
On ceremony, yeah.
You'd like that, wouldn't you, internet? You'd fucking love it if we were just, starving away in this room. Bullshit. Right, anyway.
Wow. You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Sure.
I'm a bit post-apocalyptic in my thought process.
Right.
Because
I'm for a fight.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I'm thinking about Twisted Metal. That's what I'm thinking about this week. So I haven't got a segue necessarily to your game from that at all.
It's all right.
Wheels. What was probably well-storied PlayStation franchises. I think they're both. I think they're just PlayStation. I think Twisted Metal and
Gran Turismo.
Yeah, Gran Turismo. Cool.
Yeah.
Unexpected because all the advertisement for a few weeks was about Simpsons Hit and Run, but did you not?
We'll come to that.
Oh, all right, okay, all right, okay, fair enough. You will come to that.
I will come to
as
that.
Part of the Gran Turismo 4 experience. Fair enough. That's cool. So yeah, they're both. I guess I'd call Twisted Metal and Gran Turismo PlayStation Legacy series almost in a way. But I'd say looking at Twisted Metal now, it's not been around as a video game. Really since 2012. So
Not that long.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to be honest. Until I played this one, which is the very first one on PlayStation 1, which turned, I'll just read my notes, 30 in November. It turned 30 years old.
Wow.
I was so in denial, and Rich can absolutely, adjudicate on this. I was so in denial. I'd written it was from November 2005, and I've had to go back over and write 1995 because I was so against the idea of it being the mid-90s.
Wow.
I was more of a Destruction Derby kind of guy at that point, probably. I didn't own a PlayStation in 1995. I don't know anybody that necessarily did that I knew, but I think my uncle was the first person on a PlayStation 1 before I bought one. And I remember he had Destruction Derby, and I played a lot of Destruction Derby. And that came out, I think, 1995 too. And I never really... Twisted Metal... We're into the reviews already, by the way. There we go. This is happening, yeah. I'm just starting, yes.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal was one of those things where I think Sweet Tooth, the clown face, scared me a little bit on the box maybe in the mid-90s. And I was maybe a bit like, I don't know if the Jack in the Box with the fire behind him on the front cover, which is a brilliant front cover, now, but when I was sort of like, 7, 8 or 9, I was a bit like, I don't know if I'm allowed to play that game or or I want to. So I think I just kind of stayed away really. But wrongly, it seems that is in. I think that. So are you a Twisted Metal fan? Have you played any?
No, never played any of them. I played a bit of Vigilante 8. I was on the N64 in this era.
Yeah.
So getting funky.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's already been rebooted once. That is so it's kind of, it had Twisted Metal 1 to 4 on the PlayStation, and when I was researching, I saw that Twisted Metal 2, 3, and 4 were all in the top one, maybe even 75 best-selling PlayStation 1 games. So really well regarded. And I'm guessing that obviously stood on the shoulders of, Twisted Metal 1. And then they rebooted it in 2001 with Twisted Metal Black, which again, as far as I'm aware, there were people that'll be like sort of listening to this and just thinking you heathens not playing it, because I know
yelling into their transistor radios.
I know fine well that there's a lot of people that absolutely love Twisted Metal. So I would just say that I'm really glad that I've joined the club of people that's at least tried the first game, and I'll be interested to see. I might not necessarily go and play all of them, but it's good to see. Again, this is something that's on PS Plus Premium, and being a legacy sort of series, I think that there's like a lot of them on there. Do you know what I mean? So I can at least pick and choose a few of them. I think one of the best regarded ones, and certainly the best selling one on PlayStation 1 was Twisted Metal 2. So I'll be interested to see what that's like after playing this. Something that kind of made me want to start playing it was that I had recognised that the TV show, which is a very recent thing, was up on BBC iPlayer. So it's on Paramount, but the first series was there and free on BBC iPlayer. So I thought, oh, cool. Well, I'll play the game and I'll watch the TV show as well.
Right.
I was really pleasantly surprised at how much I really enjoyed the TV show. I've only seen the first series, to be fair, but it has been renewed for a third season. And the second season, I believe, is on Paramount at the moment. I'm hoping it'll come to iPlayer, but it might be one of those things where actually I enjoyed it. I was going to be like, oh, I enjoyed it so much, but I enjoyed it enough to think that I might pick Paramount up, for a month. You know what I mean? Like, as in, and
Dip
just
in.
kind of like watch that because it was really good. What was good about the Twisted Metal TV show before I get into the game? Because it kind of like, I think that the game before, like, there's not a lot to the game necessarily. It's I could say it out loud right now. It's really very good. But I probably watched more of the TV show before I played the game, almost in a way. So it's almost like my first dip into it. So, but the great thing about it is that it is like the post-apocalyptic setting. It's my kind of post-apocalyptic setting,
Right.
In so much that I pegged it as, after watching it, a Mad Max cross Pineapple Express style, which you wouldn't ever think you'd get a crossover of that, but that was very much what it felt like.
Right.
Almost like a bit like, I guess, a Waster's sort of like way, and it kind of pegged what I imagine if I'd been old enough necessarily, what I would have felt like if I was an 18-year-old, 19-year-old picking up a PlayStation 1 in 1995 would have felt like, with all of the advertisement and everything around it that was like sort of more of an adult or more of a rush, and you were down the nightclub and playing PlayStation 1 sort of thing. And a TV show seemed to encapsulate that really, really well. That is almost in my head. That is the idea around that. So a lot of people like The Last of Us. This was more my kind of sort of like, end of the world, like going out screaming and laughing, like, just with absolute inane sort of things going all around you. That's what I imagine the end of the world will be like for me when it happens, in cars. But
when it happens,
it's really good because like Anthony Mackie's like the lead in it, and Stephanie, is it Stephanie Beatrice? I think it is. They're like smart asses with heart and stuff, and it's just all sass. It's just all sass, and it wears its heart on its sleeve and things in terms of it. Just like it knows what it is, and it just never veers from that. Little pocket-sized half-an-hour episodes. They do a really good job of kind of like stringing over a main story, but never really having to. Like, as in, so you meet Neve Campbell in the first episode, who's clearly like who sends Anthony Mackie's character John Doe on a trip across America to go and receive something, and then back again, and he bumps into all sorts of characters. There's like a torture scene, like, is in where like you think, like that torture should be something that is obviously horrific, but it manages to. I laughed the entire way through it. Like, there's like a waterboarding scene where it's like hilarious, and it's just like you just do a really good job of like managing to put. Just drill some levity into every single situation. That is in how you're laughing at the ridiculousness of it all. So yeah, and it kind of like it doesn't necessarily say it out loud or anything. But have you seen One Battle After Another? Yeah, so the Paul Thomas Anderson film. So that has a similar sort of feeling where that's much more scary, but there's parts in that where like you are laughing out loud at some white supremacists and what they're saying and stuff, and there's some people in this way you kind of sort of like certainly there's like there's an over sort of arching feel of dread from supremacy and people who are driving down lower classes and there is at the end of episode 7, it managed to make me feel sad about a car. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't even like cars, and it was like it really did. like I say, it was a pleasant supplies. Yeah, that's what, which is funny because that's what John Doe's doing. He's running supplies. Surprise to me that how much I enjoyed this and how well made it was. And sometimes I think that you can watch a TV show and mistake it if it doesn't take itself seriously as something that is just like not well made. And this was like, oh yeah, no, I it's one of the best video game adaptations that I've seen that's loosely based on a video game, but the right amount.
Yeah.
And I can't recommend it enough, really. Like, as in, I can't. Well, yeah. What I hate when that's a terrible phrase, isn't it? 'Cause I can recommend it the right amount. Like, but I
recommend it appropriately.
Yeah. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I think probably that is in. I think it's up there. So yeah, if you get a chance to pick up Twisted Metal on the TV show, and I'm gonna I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go watch the second series now and see how it goes. So hopefully it doesn't let me down. I think that not everything has to be the GOAT. And this isn't necessarily the GOAT. That is in, but it knows what it's doing. So yeah. And so back to the game then. So like I said, it feels very much like an edgy sort of game, if you will. That is in it leaves a lot to the imagination because the plot is well described, kind of like in a trailer and within the game, kind of really if you go and have a look for it. But effectively, so there's. Every year there is a vehicular combat battle royale called the Twisted Metal, hosted by a mysterious Calypso, and you are told that if you win that, then you will get something that is beyond your wildest dreams. That is, and it's really kind of like quite evocative. Like it could be like
have some pretty wild dreams.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea. It's almost like it's meant to be beyond your imagination, sort of thing. But none that actually really ever comes to fruition in terms of what you see or what you know.
No.
So
really,
yeah,
wow,
yeah. So you don't need to worry about that. But it is like
okay,
it's quite funny that just again like that's why I thought the TV show did a pretty good job because it's just silly. It's just fucking stupid. Do you know what I mean? Like as and it just hangs a stupid, ridiculous nature around what this core gameplay idea of vehicular combat. Do you know what I mean? So there's not a lot necessarily to the game. Certainly the first one, but I think I'm gonna list all the things I had wrong with it, and then reprieve it at the end, almost like with the things that I sort of felt good about it. Really. So there's 6 battle arenas, and they becoming. I guess they're increasing in size. I only got to the 5th one. I'm going to be honest, that is in because time passed on and I couldn't. I was finding it difficult at that point, and I was like, I'm gonna have to spend time to learn the game and get better at it. But certainly, they seem to increase in size every single time, and you have to on every single battle arena level, you have to defeat all the other enemies. So there are like these other little knobhead enemies that kind of hang out on streets that are shooting you with like rockets and stuff, which you make them go squelch, and they don't count towards your score or anything. You have to beat all the vehicles. Each vehicle has a personality. That is in, so they've all got different names to them, and so you probably, as I was alluding to, I guess the most evocative image from Twisted Metal, if you've never played it, would be from the front cover, and that shows Sweet Tooth in his ice cream van with the clown's head on a spring popping out of it, with a flamethrower behind him and things. So there are different types of vehicles. They all seem to have different attributes and special weapons. I'm not so sure how much that necessarily seemed to matter too much. I picked up one called Roadkill that I just really enjoyed. There was, quite funnily enough, there was one that was like a Lotus Spirit, I believe they're called. That is in that a James Bond car, effectively like James Bond character and stuff. So there's plenty to test out to see what suits you. There's like an army sort of 4x4 and things. There's lots of different types of vehicles. I don't think it necessarily seemed to matter that much. The thing that mattered to me most was that your special weapons. And I really, really, really needed the homing missile weapon. It seemed like I lent on that like a massive crutch. Possibly because the graphics are so horrible. It's like it is very difficult to see what is going on Twisted Metal on the PlayStation 1. Other bits of the gameplay that I quite liked was so you have I think you get 3 lives, and once your 3 lives are up, once you to progress through each of the battle arenas, once they're up, then you start the game again. But there is a password method after each battle arena, so you can enter a password so you can get back onto that level, which is good. But I liked that you could also increase your health, so not increase, sorry, fill your health bar back up at these weird little sort of like electrical stations that hang around the level.
Right.
Once you used one, then you couldn't use it again. So it was almost like there was quite a bit of strategy around how you would use those, because obviously you'd have to use them if you were desperate, but you didn't really want to necessarily use them all before you got to fighting all of the vehicles in the level.
Yeah.
So whilst the levels increase in size as well, the number of vehicles you have to defeat increase as well. So the first level is just one vehicle in a small arena, and then you branch out more and more. So it becomes very difficult. I think there's like the 5th level, I'm sure there was like 6 different people to defeat, and they're obviously over a big wide area. From what I remember, like the map is like kind of like not really kind of like useful at all. Like it's they kind of have like a little sonar thing going on, but I don't think it helped me in the slightest. There are some weapons that are, I feel like, completely useless. There was like some oil slicks and mines that I didn't really understand how to use correctly, because it felt like a lot of the combat, to be successful, you had to meet people head on. And, whereas if people were, never really felt like anyone was chasing you. So you'd pick up, these weapons are scattered around the streets. The hitbox to pick up the weapon is shit. Like, as in, so really difficult to kind of like, if you feel like you're going to get it by picking it up, that is, in, if you touch it enough, you're not. You think you are, and you're not. And then you go, oh, brilliant! I picked up a new weapon. And it's like a mine, and you're like, oh, great. Well, that's just fucking useless. Do you know what I mean? That is, I don't know what I'm meant to do with this. That is, I don't know how I'm meant to succeed with this set of weapons I've got. So there's lots of things where I don't think that the game, probably an early sort of video game thing, and where I bet it was all in the manual situation.
Yeah,
like, I don't think it necessarily explained to me well enough.
Classic.
Yeah, what was going on in the video game. I think that the control system is one of the worst control systems that I've used on a video game, especially when it's key that you're able to get in and out of tight spots when someone's chasing you. There was a couple of different methods of control. I found one that worked the best, and it was shit. Like, isn't that the best thing to say about it, really? But eventually I kind of grew to understand what was going on with it. But again, I don't want to excuse it, but with early PlayStations, it's almost like you didn't have that universal control system that everybody used everywhere that, would now be used. It would have been nice to see, because I played this one on PS Plus Premium, it would have been nice to see them implement something. Do you know what I mean? Just to say, well, actually, we'll just give you, across these Twisted Metal games 1, 2, 3, and 4 that are on there, we'll just give you the generic system that you can use, a control system. Whether or not there is on later games, but there definitely wasn't on this version, and I found it particularly difficult to go back to. So yeah, that's something just to be aware of. And also, last kind of gripe was that the amount of throttle. It felt like it was all or nothing. Like, as in, I was just crashing through fucking walls, or that took some getting used to. But once you got used to everything, this was really fun. A bit like the TV show. Like, as in, it was way more tactically deep than I expected. Like, as in terms of using those health stations, and when there's like, sometimes there's like jumps in levels and things and stuff that you can use to kind of escape out of tight spaces. Using other enemies are kind of against each other as well. They did seem to recognise that there was other people within the arena, so it was almost like if you were again in a tight spot and you were low on health, escaping down another road while there's two chasing each other, like, not getting involved in that fight at the right time kind of seemed to help as well. I liked how minimalist it was as well. It felt like, whilst it certainly didn't look this way, like, because it looked like shit, like it felt like Escape from New York, the movie, like, as in, in terms of that, you got that John Carpenter Assault on Precinct 13 style vibe out of it somehow, and you do, and I felt like I was in this. There's not a lot to look at, and you're kind of like, is this really downtown New York? Because I can't. It's very generic, but I still managed to get that feeling out of it, and I don't know if that's just because I love his movies. I love that style of movie, and therefore I was just kind of, I don't know,
Reading into
yeah,
it.
exactly,
Yeah.
seeing that in the game. But I did see it, so I was quite happy to have
But
that.
there we are.
Yeah. I think it's like it's definitely not a technical marvel at all, but it just had a lot of swagger and attitude, and I can see how that's kind of carried over into being able to be a successful TV series as well.
Yeah,
And the fact that there's been so many sequels, even on the PlayStation 1, and then they rebooted it again. I'm surprised it's still not around now. I'm surprised there isn't some, and I think there is, especially a TV series kicking about, constantly groundswell from fans on Reddit and stuff to say where the fuck is Twisted Metal, because because it would work really, really well. If we just did this, and this. So there's, whilst it's quite a very basic, like say, minimalist concept, you do find yourself kind of sucked in to find new strategies and tactics, and there's those different vehicles. Whether or not, I didn't necessarily feel there was that much difference between them, but I guess that maybe people that are, have played it for longer or have played all the series will know better than me about that. But at least they were there, and there was a lot more variety, and it was cool that you could see there was personality in the vehicles. It wasn't just like have 12 random vehicles that all look like a Black Sentinel from GTA 3. Do you know what I mean? So that it was cool. It just had a really fun vibe to it. I would go back and play it. I would. It is shoddy and, like I say, not a technical marvel, and it looks like shit and handles like shit. But after a little while, like playing it for sort of 3 or 4 hours, I was like, I could see myself playing the rest of the series as well, and getting into it quite a lot. So yeah, it definitely resonated with who I am as a person, I think. As a video game and how well it's made, I think it's probably a 6 out of 10. But which for a game that's 30 years old, as in, and considering how much I've sort of said there are a lot of things that are wrong with it, I guess that whenever I try and give a score, I always just think how much fun I had with it, and I just remember having a really nice time over Christmas with it. So it wasn't, so yeah, that's that really. So yeah, I think that I would like to go and try the PS2 reboot and the PS3 version from 2020, 2012, I think it was as well. Probably next, I think that is in, just to try and sort of see what they try to do in each generation and why that stopped. Because I didn't get really enough into it to find out why that was the case. Because it just seemed to be such a good concept. And if they'd carried on the same, I think the developers sort of stayed, they kind of changed a little bit, but mostly stayed the same all the way through. Why that stopped then? Because I think there could be some good fun to be had to have another Twisted Metal game nowadays. So, but yeah, cool. It was cool. Nice to pick up a PlayStation franchise I never played before.
Something a bit different.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, something that everybody's played ever. Now,
well, I hadn't.
No.
And talking of franchises that you've not played, I haven't played Simpsons Hit and Run either.
Yeah, no. Noticed that.
Yeah. So I picked up Simpsons Hit and Run a while back and was like, I know it was quite highly regarded among Simpsons games. So I was like, okay, cool. Yep, we'll cover that at some point. Picked it up, tried the disc. The disc was working fine. And then fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, where I go to sit down to actually do some notes on it. And I get a handful of missions in, maybe 4 or 5 in. Get to this one where you have to follow this van, which I do. And then the music stops. I was like, okay, bit weird. And then the van drives over other cars and into an abyss of background tiles.
Oh no!
And it kept going, and the mission wouldn't end. And Homer would get out of the car and fall through infinity.
I've seen this episode.
And it was all a bit much. So I was like, great. Okay, cool. I've been done by a sneakily scratched disc somewhere along the line. Tried cleaning it, got a bit further in the mission, completed the mission, wasn't able to save it. Whenever I got into a menu, the X button suddenly wouldn't work, wouldn't register anything. and yeah, did some digging, and someone on Reddit, funnily enough, had exactly the same problem
Okay.
in exactly the same place. And we're like, what is this? And someone, like, they had a PlayStation 2 Slim, like I did as well.
Yeah.
And someone said, oh, it might be a sign that the laser's starting to go.
Okay.
I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That would be bad. Like, it would be one thing if the game was mucking me about because it was scratched, but for it to be in exactly the same place, on exactly the same kind of system, for exactly the same, it was a bit too weird.
Yeah.
So I started doing some digging to work out what would be a good game to use to check the laser, and all this kind of stuff. Suddenly learn a lot about what games are like dual layer discs and all this kind of stuff.
This is really interesting.
And yeah, it turns out Gran Turismo 4 is a dual layer disc. So I booted that up because I picked it up ages back. Was like, oh, I'll get around to playing it at some point. And booted it up to check that the laser was working. Several hours later, I was still playing Gran Turismo 4. I was like, why don't I just review this instead? It's going to be easier. I've got some notes on, like, Simpsons Hit and Run. From what I played, easy 7 out of 10 all day. Like, it's fun, it's bright, it's colourful, it's breezy, it's got a couple of good jokes in it. It's not exactly world-shattering. I don't get what the fuss is about personally, but it's still good. Gran Turismo 4 is very, very good.
It's dual layered good.
It's so God, where do I start with this? Obviously, like you were saying about Twisted Metal, quite the storied franchise, and like we were saying recently with Burnout 3, quite often Gran Turismo 4 is cited as like the one.
Yeah.
If
I tell you that so I only know this from doing research, knowing that you'd played this like this week. So Gran Turismo 1 was the best selling game on PlayStation 1. This Gran Turismo 3 A-spec and this were both top 5 PS2 selling games.
Yeah, like this, I think 3 and 4 were like the kind of golden period for a lot of people for this. So the problem I have with this, and it's not necessarily a problem with the game, like it's clearly built to last, right? Like there is a lot of cars, a lot of places you can drive the cars, a lot of events, a lot of combinations of secondhand things that you can buy, a lot of tuning you can do, a lot of tweaking, a lot of this, that, the other. There's a lot of stuff in this game. So yeah, played it for a fair bit. It's got a kind of completion percentage counter for tracking your progress when you're saving it. Did my notes and was like, oh, that, it feels like I can make a relatively good argument for how I feel. It has my current completed percentage.
Let me guess. 27%.
0.5. So, fuck you very much, Gran Turismo 4, frankly. I'm always a big one for flying the flag for respecting my time, and that was a shot in the pills, I tell you. So I'm not.
Do you know how many hours you feel like you played it on?
Right, so not many, because I was trying to do Simpsons first. So yeah, granted, not a heck of a lot. No, but I still would have liked a little bit more than 0.5% of the game completed.
Please, come on now.
So now I've completely hamstrung any credibility I've got for coming up with
not
my
at all.
Thoughts.
We don't have any credibility. I need to let you know that now.
This is the thing.
There's nobody listening to this.
Well, this will also tie into a point that I will be making further down the line. So bear with me. I do have a point for outlining
I'm bearing with you.
So yeah, you go in, you pick your first car, and you get going. So I picked a Honda Civic.
Yeah, classic.
A classic, and got going, and it looks nice. It looks good. I still get caught out by the old having accelerate and brake on the face buttons and the kind of analog-y type face buttons as well. My controller's old, obviously, so it wasn't quite. It took a long time to get the handling down, right? Because you are trying to do the sort of halfway between sim and arcade kind of thing, and like you will have your ass kicked if you aren't taking corners properly. which is very hard to do when you've got buttons that aren't doing what you want them to. So nonetheless, my wife found it utterly hilarious seeing me trying to pelt around a course, 60 mile an hour ish in a shitty Civic.
Fucking lucky 16.
Yeah, exactly. And screwing up every single corner and getting it all kinds of wrong. And like, but there is something weirdly charming and endearing about the kind of like not quite po-faced nature of it all. But it takes itself very seriously. Like it's helped by the fact that, in fact, we kind of touched on it conveniently enough when we were talking about Burnout 2 and 3 the other week. You said about the Burnout was it Burnout Legends soundtrack was basically what you moved on to after Tony Hawk, or was it, something else?
Well, to be honest, it was, I guess, Takedown and Revenge and Legends are all very much the same. Yeah.
So with hindsight, the Gran Turismo 4 soundtrack is what I did actually move on to in real life, just not through Gran Turismo 4.
Okay.
So like there were a couple of bits in there where I was like, fucking hell, this is a bop. Like this, where's this been? And so like that was kind of cool. And then you remember that you're still in a shitty Civic. So
you can bop in a Civic.
You can bop in a Civic.
I bop in my shit little Civic all the time.
So you've got two options for a race. You've got A-spec, which is you driving. You've got B-spec, which is you basically kind of being like a pit manager type.
Oh, okay.
And you can approach the races more like a strategy game, and you could tell them the driver to push a little bit or ease up, or you spend a lot more time tinkering with the race setup and all that kind of stuff.
That's so funny because I think I remember when I played Gran Turismo PSP this time last year, I think I said I played Gran Turismo 4. I've clearly lied because I don't remember that at all. Well, so I think we only played up to 3 maybe then. I don't know.
But there's that kind of stuff, but it's just sort of tucked away in menus. When you start a race, like you can choose whether or not you will drive for that race or not.
Yeah.
And some of the entry requirements for races are a little bit tricky to track. And if you were going to make this game nowadays, you will make them a little bit more obvious, and the way you go about selecting a car and selecting the event to use a car in would probably be tweaked a little bit. It got a little bit cumbersome, and there were a couple of times where I'm like, why can I not go in this race? Oh, my Civic's too long. Okay, fine. And like, that's not even a joke. That actually happened. And things like that, where you just like, oh, what the fuck is going on here? So eventually you manage to find some races you can do. And then I'm like, oh, I can't do those races because I haven't got the licenses.
Yeah.
Got to go and do the tests.
Yeah, got to do that.
The fucking license tests. So off I toddle to the test track, and I sit through the tutorial screens reading like, oh, if you're going to brake on gravel, make sure you're going in a straight line and all this kind of stuff, and do the practice things. And I start failing the practice things before I've even got to the end of the B tier license. And I'm like,
what's a slalom?
Okay, right. I see why I was screwing up now. I was approaching this game completely wrong. And like, so fair play. Like, it does force you down that route of learning to play the game, which, is kind of frustrating if you just want to hop in. I mean, there are ways of just hopping into events. Like the B-spec requirements seem to be a bit more lax. So, if
you're not actually driving a car.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're not the person driving the car.
You need a license.
You could enter it like, exactly. Basically, as long as the car is eligible, you can go for it, and you can still build up a bit of like a sort of separate stream of points for A and B spec and cash off the back of it, which you can put towards other bits and bobs.
What kind of qualifications do you need to be a hype man in a pit stop sort of situation? I don't think you need any.
You know what? I'm not sure. I think you could probably just yell
like a Bez, in the B spec mode.
As long as you bring your own maracas.
Well, has he got his fucking top off?
So you've got like all the while. There is, like I say, there is something charming about the way it's all put together that just kind of draws you through it. And I think it's just this kind of earnestness.
Okay.
Like, it just really bloody likes cars.
Yeah.
And it wants you to like cars too.
That was, that was always my problem with Gran Turismo. And I think I've said this before. I'm just not I love playing racing video games, but actual cars couldn't give a fuck.
But this is where I kind of found myself in a weird spot with it, because like usually I'm always like, arcade stuff, give me the good stuff now, don't waste my time. But with this, I was just like, I'm kind of liking the slow burn.
Yeah.
Like it's making me earn stuff. And then I had that moment where I'd finally managed to save and scrape and like grind through enough events to finally get some cash together to, buy a car that wasn't a fucking Civic. And then I was like, oh, I need the next license up to go into any events with it. Fuck! And it's that sort of thing.
Wow, that was a good, that was a sound.
It was all this kind of stuff that was like, yeah, it was frustrating, but it was my own fault. I decided to do that. I didn't look. I could have checked to see what events I'd be eligible for. Whose fault was that? Definitely mine, not the game. I mean, the game could have made it clearer, don't get me wrong, but like, and yeah, like it was all this kind of stuff where it's like, well, I've given you all of the tools. It's not my fault if you can't read the instructions for them. And there was just something about the way it all hung together that, yeah, like appealed to me for reasons that I can't quite fathom. Because this is quite a long way out of my usual. But there was
I'm
just...
going to go pick up the game.
Yeah.
Case. I don't know if that'll help me. But...
No, but there was just something about it. Like a kind of... a pacing, I don't know. Like it felt considered and it felt deliberate and it felt like... even just the stuff like you could trade cars between save files like it's fucking Pokemon or something. Or like... you go through these different days when you're in the championship, right? And each day the used car market will refresh, and you can get a different batch of cars to have a look at and all that kind of stuff.
That was like the PSP version then, yeah, but they only had like 4 cars, and that really stressed me out. Is it only like 4? Is it a handful of cars,
no,
or is it more?
There was a few more in this. I felt, but like there was just something about the fact that like. It almost knows like it's screwing you around in the early days, but it's very, very good at dangling these carrots in front of you and going, yeah, but stick with it and look what you could be doing. And yeah, all the while, you just sort of, well, yeah, I don't even know. Like, I felt like I played the menus more than I played the game. but
that's like that.
But it's almost like it became more like a strategy game for me.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably where I'm leaning with it. Like, when I discovered the Z-spec bit, where, like, sure, don't get me wrong, I have not managed to successfully manage a race yet.
What pit stop strategies it says here.
Yeah, but to know that that is an option, and, I could tinker with the race setups beforehand to give myself a decent shot, and then go through it, it feels like there's this whole other... side of the game that actually scratches an itch that I didn't know needed scratching. It's like there's this entire fucking racing strategy game here that I never knew existed.
Yeah.
On top of a nice looking racing game that is pretty good and pretty solid, even if I am still effectively stuck in a Civic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an odd duck. I kind of don't know how to feel about it. Yeah. I think I'm kind of in love, but at the same time, I'm waiting for it to just like throttle me in my sleep or something.
It's like that. But that, you described it so well before with like the slow burn situation that is in, and this it's probably just a good podcast to get into just in general about Gran Turismo because they sell so many copies and so many people like it, and it must appeal to people that is in of a certain like disposition around. If you want to have, and it even says in the back of the case here, it's like 700 cars, 50 tracks, Gran Turismo 4, one real driving simulator. That is, and so if you are somebody that sets out to think that I want to manage,
be the best.
I want to manage, like as in a car world, if you will, as in
like if you want to be that collector, yeah.
But for you, that isn't.
It wasn't what I set out to do. And don't get me wrong, like I'm not good enough at the game to have made any headway on that front. But
what's
like
the best car you got?
A Civic. It's still a Civic. I can't drive the other one. I have no idea what it's like. I managed to because I finished the B license things. I think I got like a Volkswagen Luna or something like that. Like. Or whatever it was, like one of the really boxy ones.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
So like, yeah, it's early days, but like kind of like Burnout 3.
Yeah.
Like I fully intend to like go back to it, and I can absolutely see why. You know, if it gets its claws into you, it's the kind of game that you would just live in. You know, and I can imagine that. You know, you've got what, like there's a drag strip that's set on like the Las Vegas strip, and it's not like you can really race on it, but you use it for race tuning and stuff like that, and it's one of a few different options for race tuning for like getting into the nitty gritty of getting things set up. And I can imagine if you start sinking your teeth into that, then you know, yeah, you'd be, I don't know, like a pig in shit or something. But like, yeah, there is just something about it when I was playing it, like even just going through those license bits and bobs and the rigmarole of doing all that, and you kind of, or I started out, you know, mashing X to skip through all the menus and just like, get me to the fucking like test, let me get on with it. And then I realized that actually, no, I'm starting to slow down. I'm starting to read these things. I'm starting to go, okay, no, I do need to try and like manage my throttle versus my brake and like meet it on its terms a little bit more. And like, it was very, very good at making me slow down and think about what I was doing.
Yeah.
Which I think nowadays would be a trickier prospect. I think a lot of games would almost be too accommodating, and you might not necessarily sort of see what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, I haven't played nearly enough of this to confidently give it a score that I'm probably about to give it. But you know, it's the kind of thing that I at least think I see what it's trying to do, and I think I see why people like it.
Yeah, which is good because I don't, and I never really have done. And I know that makes me a heathen in terms of motorsport world and stuff. But I just, you know, I saw Gran Turismo 7 for sale over Christmas. I was at £22-23. I was like, oh god, that looks really, really like reasonable. And I see people put hundreds of hours into that. People who I respect, you know, across the whole internet.
Yeah.
Like, but like, you know, like people that kind of go, oh, I'll see someone's Instagram account and go, and I'll look at all the things they play and I'll go, I think that I would gel with this person. I'm interested to follow them because I like to know what they're doing. And then I'll see that person has all of a sudden got 200 hours in Gran Turismo 7, and I'm like, oh, do I think I like this person? I'm not, but I think they're more right than I am, and I think it's the slow. I find it so difficult all the time when I was younger. Now, and my boss tells me this at work, to just slow the fuck down, and I just can't. It makes my skin crawl thinking about it, and I know that's a me problem. I get that, but I'd rather just facilitate that me problem forever, rather than like.
I guess that's kind of my point. Like, I was surprised at how much I think I could gel with this potentially, and I pick those words very carefully. Like, if anything, playing this made me infinitely more tempted to try Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah.
And previously, my only real experience of a Gran Turismo game full stop would have been on a PS5 demo booth when I was in Japan.
Yeah.
Okay. And was like, well, I don't really get what this next gen thing's all about. Whereas now that I've played a bit more of Gran Turismo 4, like suddenly I'm like, well, actually playing it with like, you know, haptic feedback on the triggers, I can imagine that cornering would be a damn sight easier to judge, and all that kind of stuff. So you start looking at it through this lens of like, how can I use the tools more effectively?
Yeah.
And I think that's a mindset that Gran Turismo 4 has just like subtly instilled in me. Like suddenly I can envisage myself picking a car, going to the track, trying it, tinkering with the settings, trying it again, and doing that whole like iterative process.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that since like Forza Motorsport on the Xbox 360 kind of thing. So like, I think I have a spark of being able to gel with things like that.
Yeah.
It's just that I haven't played anything that's tapped into it for quite a while.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think that as well, you will inherently, in skills that you know, you have, like, is in, you know, you learn guitar, you learn languages and things like that to a certain extent and stuff. That is, in, you know, you
go back to it again, fail. Go back to it again,
I mean,
fail.
Yeah,
it's like shmups as well. Go back to it again, fail. Go back to it again.
But I love shmups, but that must be a different itch.
Well, it's because things explode.
Yeah, probably things. But
if Gran Turismo had more explosions,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, where's the takedowns? No, but like, I think that with that, like, as in, so they go back, do fail, no problem, but it's got to be quick, like, as in, fail quick,
Yeah, I
like,
get
as
that.
in, you know,
Yeah.
reset quick kind of thing, like, as in, that's what I love. And even when I was speaking up trials the other week and things, like, as in, that was, you know, like, that's probably got a lot of, whilst it hasn't got obviously anywhere near the intricacies that GTA, sorry, Gran Turismo has got, that has a certain way of think. That's like a puzzle sort of mindset, and you know, sit, think, hold your throttle, hold your brake, and things. And when it was getting too extreme for me, I was like, right, okay. I was probably still trying to do that thing where I was like, I'm just going to bash my head against this 400 times because it's a video game. It'll let me do it eventually, and it just doesn't. And it's just like, right, okay, fair enough. You showed me that I actually probably need to do this certain way. So that, I guess that as a gamer, that is in me, but almost maybe it has to be wrapped in a different sort of dressing rather than what Gran Turismo comes
Yeah,
in
I get that.
for me.
Yeah.
You know, it feels a bit overpowering, even just looking at the case for Gran Turismo 4, or, you know, knowing, we spoke before the podcast about knowing the games have a lot of them now have a prologue, or they have done since, like, you know, since GTA, again, damn it, Gran Turismo 4, you know, to see that, you know, I'm not saying it's pretentious, because it's, I don't think it is. I think it's really cool that they do this, but it's almost like to have, like, what game series has you know, has prologues in it, like, is it all the time, like, in that fashion where it's like, you know, almost like the extended demo of that game before it ever comes out. And how many people, I mean, when I was looking to see how many sales Gran Turismo 3 and 4 had the PlayStation 2, before I even got to a Burnout game, when I was researching the last podcast and this podcast, Gran Turismo 4 prologue was there. Do you know what I mean? That was like a 100th best-selling game on the PlayStation 2 was the prologue for this game. So, you know, so it has its fans, you know, and it's just, yeah, I need to probably find a way to make it gel with me like you have. I don't know what that is yet, though.
Yeah, it's. I was pleasantly surprised how it started to get its hooks in me. Either that, or I've just been like, I don't know. What would a good analogy be? Okay, this isn't a good analogy, but like
it's an analogy.
But like maybe I've just been sort of snacking on junk food racing games, but actually I wanted like a nice big hearty Sunday roast of a racing game.
Yeah,
and this is that Sunday roast of a racing game.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, isn't it? Yeah,
I think that's what it is. Like, I've been eating.
That was a good analogy. Actually.
I've been eating pizza for so long. I just wanted a bloody roast.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it until I sat down with it because
so
Simpsons Hit and Run broke.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Whereas I'm just like, I'll just eat Chinese food all the time, like, and never look up. But yeah, I mean, look at both these games then, and the series they have. That might be why. Like, and it's very, you know, you can't just sort of like say, you know, lump them both together and things. But is there much like Gran Turismo anywhere else in the video game scenes? Whereas Twisted Metal, not saying necessarily there's anything just like it, but I spoke about Destruction Derby at the start and things that I think there's probably Wreckfest, for example, that is not exactly the same. Yeah, as you mentioned, sorry. So there's probably more attempts to have the similar sort of thing going on. Whereas how many other video games that have really, what, Project Gotham Racing maybe, and then Forza Motorsport,
Project Cars, even Forza Motorsport, I would argue, is a bit more arcadey.
Yeah, there's not a lot that has gone for the novelization.
No, I'm thinking of Forza Horizon is more arcadey. Forza Motorsport was probably pretty close.
It's like
Race Driver, maybe. Oh no, that's arcadey, quite arcadey as well. Like, I mean, there's definitely stuff on PC. You know, like Assetto Corsa and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really well regarded, isn't it? Yeah.
I think you very quickly get into the realms of like sim racing more seriously once you're quote unquote past Gran Turismo, if that makes sense. And I think like, yeah, it occupies a space where in that kind of gap between sim and arcade that, yeah, it does seem like there aren't many options, or rather there have been, but not many currently. Because I mean, like, what Project Cars has sort of fizzled as well, and all that kind of stuff, and I think that probably would have been in a sort of similar bracket.
Well, a lot
But
of things
even
are going for the open world thing now, aren't they? And not as much of my analogy, good or bad, would be like, this feels like going to the opera. Like, as in, sometimes you've got to go to the fucking opera. Like, it can't all be like, it can't all be 2 minutes 10 seconds punk rock songs all the time.
Yeah,
like,
like, I think that's a good point. But like, just to go back to something like Project Cars, like that, I always have it pegged more as like a kind of sandbox type thing where you could go and tweak to like crazy levels of detail what you wanted from your race event and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I don't really get the impression you kind of have that, at least with this version of Gran Turismo. Like, it still feels curated.
Okay.
In a way, like deep, big, but still curated. Like someone has crafted this experience for you to have. Whereas something like Project Cars, you were given the tools and you could craft your own experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. Like, Gran Turismo 4, it just feels like there's this guiding hand behind it. Okay. Like, someone has made this for you to enjoy and enjoy for a long time. You know, it's not just gonna like burn quick and burn fast. It is a slow experience. Ironically. And I think that that is the thing that I find endearing about it, is that sense of someone has invested time and effort to put all this together. And what's throwing me now that I've said that out loud is, the fuck makes me think that's the case compared to any other game we've talked about? You know, like, what is it? But I think we're gonna have to unpack that a different day. But nonetheless, like, it does feel like it's considered, I think, and I find that appealing somehow. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, even though I have only got 0.5% completed on it.
Sorry, that's
I think it's down to like first place trophies or something like that, rather than like just sheer bulk number of races completed.
You tell yourself that. I mean,
I hope that's the case.
If you can complete the game in a Honda Civic, that would be impressive. Like, as in, that would be the true. I mean, this might be the case for anybody that has played the Gran Turismo series, but maybe there is a mode where, or like a version of it where you can go through with the shittest car the entire way through. Like,
certainly.
It's like, you know,
I could have bought worse cars. Like, the Civic is by no means the worst car. I can tell you that much for nothing.
Oh man, and here I am just trying to, like, you know, you're there in your B-spec pit crew, just you know, with sort of lovely, you know, wonderful
classical music playing,
and I'm just like rocking onto the track with my roadkill, like just a roadkill car, like just fucking firing home missiles. It you know, it's just it works well for our podcast. But cool. I did genuinely enjoy that, because do you know what, we kind of slowed down a little bit during that review to unpack it a little bit more as well, I think. Well, and maybe, you know, Gran Turismo has done that to us.
But that's the thing, like, that is exactly how I felt playing it. And let's face it, like, you could go anywhere on the internet and find someone talking about the handling model and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's good, it's very good. So yeah, it was good to try and work out why it made me feel things.
And it's probably quite good that you still haven't worked it out yet, really.
Yeah, there's an air of mystery to it still. And I think I like that too. I do.
Yeah, cool. To be continued at some point, probably.
Hopefully. It'll be interesting for the year-end audit.
Yeah. Awesome. Right, cool. Thank you very much for listening, guys.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.